In this video, we'll be examining a very interesting way of building special quadrilaterals like parallelograms, rectangles, squares, and rhombuses. Normally, we might build these quadrilaterals by constructing their four sides to have the particular properties of that quadrilateral. But here, we're going to be working a little bit in reverse. Rather than starting with the four sides of our quadrilaterals, we're going to be building the diagonals first. And in particular, we're going to be building the diagonals so that the two diagonals bisect each other and share the same midpoint. So how can we construct two segments that will represent our diagonals that always share the same midpoint? Well, for starters, let's actually just construct one diagonal. I'll tap the segment tool and then tap to place its two endpoints. I'll now label those endpoints as A and B. I'd like to now construct the midpoint of this segment, so I'll tap the midpoint tool, and I see a preview of a segment and its midpoint, and the segment is glowing. I'm going to attach this segment to segment AB just by tapping AB. And now my tool is complete. I've constructed the midpoint of AB. And let's call that point M. Now I'd like to construct the other diagonal of my quadrilateral, and I want M to be the midpoint of that diagonal. So to do so, I'm going to start with perhaps what is a surprising tool, the compass tool. I'll tap the tool, and I have a preview of the circle that I'm about to construct. I'm going to place the center of the circle at point M, and the point on the circumference I can place anywhere I like, perhaps over here. So now I have this circle, and I realize that if I construct the diameter of the circle, passing through point, let's call it point C, that this diameter is going to be the second of my two diagonals, and it will share the same midpoint as segment AB, namely point M of the center of the circle. Now, how can I construct this diameter? Well, I will start with the ray tool, and I will construct a ray from point C through point M. And I can now construct the diameter from C to where this circle intersects the ray, right there. So let's label this point as point D. So now I have my two diagonals of my soon-to-be quadrilateral, and they both intersect at the common midpoint. This diagonal just happens to be the diameter of a circle. I'm going to hide that circle using the visibility widget, and I'm going to hide that ray. And that just leaves me with AB and CD. I can now double tap the segment tool and use that to construct the four sides of my rather special quadrilateral. So what can we say about this quadrilateral? Well, when I drag the various vertices, it looks like in its most general case, I have a parallelogram. Now that parallelogram in special cases can become a rectangle, a square, a rhombus, and I'm curious if I can restrict the movement of the vertices of this quadrilateral so that, for instance, it's always a rhombus, or always a square, or always a rectangle. So let's go to page 2, and here I have that very same construction that I just built. Let's add a few labels here. And I would like to restrict the vertices of this quadrilateral so that not only do the diagonals bisect each other, but so that the diagonals are of equal length. And to do this, we're going to use a really nifty feature unique to Web Sketchpad known as drag merging. Let's take a quick look at what that looks like. Here I'm going to construct a segment, and I'll construct a point. Now, if I would like to attach this point to the segment, normally in any other dynamic geometry program, I would have to probably undo a step and actually construct this point to be on the segment at the moment that I'm constructing it. But Web Sketchpad lets us change our mind after we've made a construction. And if I decide, hey, I would really like this point to be on this segment, I can just drag that point right onto the segment anywhere I like and let go when the segment is highlighted. And now that point is attached to this segment. So let's get rid of this and apply that same principle here. So recall, I want these diagonals to be equal in length. So using the compass tool, I am going to construct a circle centered at point M, passing through point B. And I realize that if point A sits anywhere on this circle, then the two diagonals will both be diameters of the circle and have the same length. So I can just drag A anywhere I like here, and let go. And now my two diagonals are of equal length. And it looks like I have a rectangle, something for students to prove, just as it was on the last page for them to prove that we have a parallelogram. All right. Here, by the way, I could hide my circle to just see the rectangle and its diagonals. So moving on to page 3, we again have that same quadrilateral we began with, which is a quadrilateral whose diagonals bisect each other. Now I would like these diagonals to not only bisect each other, but be perpendicular to each other. So I'm going to use the perpendicular tool to construct a perpendicular to BD, passing through point M. So I've tapped the tool and I see a preview of what I'm about to construct. Here I have a glowing segment and a point not on the segment with a line perpendicular to that segment passing through it. So where do I want to put this segment? I'm going to attach that to BD, and I want to construct my perpendicular to BD passing through point M. And here I have that perpendicular. I want to attach point A to that perpendicular so that my two diagonals are perpendicular. So I'll simply drag it onto that line and let go. And now my diagonals are perpendicular to each other, I should say, and have a common midpoint of M. And this, to me, looks like we have a rhombus. And again, that's left for students to prove. And there I've hidden the perpendicular line. Finally, let's make the most special of all quadrilaterals. I'll begin by labeling what we have, which is a quadrilateral whose diagonals bisect each other. And this time I would like them not only to bisect each other, but to be of equal length and perpendicular. So I will repeat what I did before of constructing a circle centered at M that passes through B, and I will construct a perpendicular to BD passing through M. And if I can connect A to, say, that point, I will have constructed ABCD to have diagonals with all of those special properties. Diagonals that bisect each other, that are equal in length and perpendicular to each other. So I'll drag A to that point and let go. And here is my very special quadrilateral, which looks to be a square. And I will leave it to you to prove that. So moving through one by one what we did, we first constructed a quadrilateral whose diagonals bisected each other. We then, using Sketchpad's drag merge feature, created diagonals that were equal in length, diagonals that were perpendicular, and diagonals that were both equal in length and perpendicular.